After Laena's funeral, a gathering was held and Viserys offers Daemon to join the council, but he just walks off. Rhaenyra follows Daemon to talk about their situation. Once they finish talking, Rhaenyra takes the lead to enjoy some frisky lovemaking on the beach. Aemon hears Vhagar, and at night he goes out to tame it. Right before Vhagar kills Aemon, he is able to tame it and flies out with it. Once he's finished flying with it, he is confronted by Daemon's daughters and Rhaenyra's sons. They gang up to beat Aemon, but he is able to take control of the situation. Jace pulls a knife on Aemon but still gets wrecked until they play dirty by blinding Aemon and cutting one of his eyes. The King Guards show up to stop the fight and Viserys demands them to stop the infighting between each other. Alicent isn't happy with the outcome, so she asks for a blade to cut one of their eyes, but Viserys warns her to stop. She pulls a blade and goes after Lucerys, but Rhaenyra stops her from doing so. They hold each other off, but Alicent cuts Rhaenyra's arm and Viserys dismissed everyone to end the situation. Later, Otto praises Alicent because he thought she doesn't have the courage to get the job done. Laenor visits Rhaenyra in the morning to apologize to her and to commit to the duty he promised before. Later, Rhaenyra asks Daemon to become her husband so her claim to the throne won't be easily challenged. So they plan Laenor's death by getting Sir Qarl to help out. Daemon kills a person similar to Laenor and Qarl starts battling with Laenor with a boy there. The boy reports to the guards while they continue fighting. They find a body burnt up when the guards arrive. After the death of Laenor, Daemon and Rhaenyra marries each other. Later, we find out Laenor is alive and he leaves his old life behind. A couple years later, Lord Corlys is injured due to an ambush when sailing the seas and his brother Vaemon wants to keep the family bloodline going. Also, at the current time, Alicent is controlling the throne with Otto as the hand of the king. On Dragonstone, Daemon retrieves Syrax's eggs to help them hatch and gets a letter to challenge the kids' legitimacy for Driftmark. So they sail to King's Landing to make their claim for Driftmark. When they arrive, they visit Viserys first to see him in terrible shape and Daemon asks for his help in Driftmark's succession. Alicent is called because the servant was raped by Aegon. She makes the servant drink a special tea and gives her hush money so rumors won't spread. Alicent visits Rhaenyra and they would bash Alicent on Viserys' poor health. Also, Alicent and Otto would be giving judgment on the inheritance to Driftmark. Vaemon shows up later and tries to get Alicent to aid him in the upcoming battle for Driftmark. Rhaenyra tries to offer a deal with Rhaenys, but she denied Rhaenyra's offer because of the death of Laenor. Later that night, Rhaenyra visits Viserys to beg him to defend her in the trial. When the trial starts, Vaemon speaks first, but when Rhaenyra interrupts, Alicent shuts her down. Once he's done, Rhaenyra speaks until Viserys shows up to cast judgment. Viserys lets Rhaenys speak for Lord Corlys, and that settles the issue. Vaemon isn't happy with the outcome, so he questions Viserys and said unspoken words. So Daemon chops his head off, and that ends the trial. Later, they have a family dinner while Aegon antagonizes Jace and Viserys shows his true self to demand them to make peace with each other. Rhaenyra toasts to Alicent for taking care of Viserys, and Alicent toasts to Rhaenyra to becoming a fine queen. Aegon continues to antagonize Jace till he snaps, but he is able to fix the situation. They then enjoy a joyful dinner until Viserys is carried out of the room because of a migraine. Aemon gives a backhand compliment, and that causes the kids to start fighting each other. The guards step in, and Daemon stops the boys from going after their uncles. Rhaenyra notifies Alicent that they will be going back to Dragonstone because of the incident. Later that night, Viserys has a dream about the Song of Ice and Fire, and before passing, he gives his hope to the prince who was promised to save them all, but Alicent thought he was talking about her son Aegon. The next morning, Viserys is pronounced dead, and Alicent tells Otto Viserys wants Aegon to be king. Then they let the council know Viserys has passed and his last wish was. Alicent finds out that they have been plotting to take over, but Lord Beesbury speaks up because he is still loyal to Viserys. Sir Criston makes Lord Beesbury sit down, but he kills him instead. Sir Harold gets Sir Criston to stand down and criticizes what they're doing. Alicent wonders what will happen to Rhaenyra, and Otto wants to imprison and kill her or have her give up the succession. Alicent isn't okay with the plan but has no solution for it. So Otto orders Sir Harold to kill Rhaenyra, but he denies the order because he only serves the king and quits. Then they look for Aegon, who is missing, and Otto orders Eric to find Aegon with his brother. Rhaenys is locked in a room and everyone else is locked in a cell. Alicent orders Sir Criston to find Aegon and Aemon tags along. Aemon goes to the Street of Silk because Aegon brought him there to lose his V card, but they don't know where Aegon is because he hasn't visited lately. The brothers goes to a place where kids are forced to fight each other, and it is known that Aegon likes to visit these places to squirt his hot dog. Then a girl approaches them for ransom on Aegon's whereabouts. Back at the throne, Otto makes the lords swear loyalty to Aegon and won't let them leave without declaring their intentions, otherwise they will die. Lord Olin tries to leave, but he is taken away by the guards because he supports Rhaenyra. Alicent visits Rhaenys to tell her that Viserys has passed and to get her support. She tried to bribe Rhaenys, but Rhaenys asked if she ever thought about taking the throne for herself, and Alicent leaves after getting triggered. Aemon and Sir Criston spots Otto and their brothers accompanied by Mysaria, also known as the White Worm, talking about Aegon's location. After getting the money, she demands to stop using children to fight each other, and then she gives Aegon's location to them. The brothers find Aegon, but he tries to escape to go back to Alicent. When the brothers apprehend Aegon, they take him back to Otto, but Aemon and Sir Criston were waiting for them outside to take him back. Aegon tries to run away again, but Aemon catches up to him. While Sir Criston fights with Sir Eric to hold him off, Sir Eric just watches on the sidelines. Aegon doesn't want to be king and offers to sail away, but Sir Criston brings him back. Alicent confronts Otto on his power trip by sacrificing a few to maintain the stability of the realm. She wants to show mercy to Rhaenyra and to make Aegon the new king tomorrow in front of everyone. When she goes back to her chamber, Lord Larys tells her Otto has a group of spies. To get rid of them, they must take out the leader and the rest will drop themselves. For the information and killing the leader, he wants to whack off to her feet. Goddamn, what a fetish. So Eric frees Rhaenys because he doesn't think Aegon is fit to rule and he leads her out. Rhaenys wants to get a dragon, but Eric wants to lead her out the safest way possible. They are separated because the guards are leading everyone to the dragon's pit and she would get her dragon later on. When Aegon and Alicent was on their way to the dragon's pit, she assured Aegon on Viserys' last breath he wanted him to be the king and not to go after Rhaenyra. Otto announces Aegon would succeed Viserys and the ceremony starts to make Aegon, the second of his name, the new king. The crowd cheers for him, but suddenly Rhaenys comes out with her dragon to ruin the day. They have a standoff and warns them before flying off. Rhaenys arrives to Dragonstone to tell them Viserys has passed and they made Aegon king. They blame Rhaenys for not doing anything when she was on her dragon, but she didn't want to start a war because that's their problem. Rhaenyra noticed the baby is ready to come out, so she gets ready to push it out, but it is not due yet. She calls her boys to let them know about Viserys has passed and tells Jace not to do anything without her orders. When she pushed the baby out, it was dead and she wrapped it herself for the funeral. On the other side, Daemon made a defense plan to keep any assassins out and sends a message to their allies to prepare for war, but Jace tells them to wait until further notice. Then Daemon takes Jace out to test the loyalty of the Kingsguard and they passed. They have a funeral for the dead baby afterwards. Sir Eric comes to the funeral to give them the crown and to swear his loyalty to them. Daemon crowns Rhaenyra as queen and everyone bows to her. They go to the war table to find out the situation, and they hope to get the support from the Valyrian fleet, but that's a decision from Lord Corlys. To win the war, they would need dragons, but the Greens have 3 dragons, so they would need to tame the dragons who are free. Sir Eric reports that Otto has come, so Daemon orders people to get ready for an attack. Daemon waits for them, and Rhaenyra rides her dragon in to hear their offer. The offer is to pledge allegiance to Aegon, and they will spare everyone involved, and their kids will get land and titles. Otto gives Rhaenyra a page to remind her of their past friendship, but Daemon wants to end them instead of preserving the peace. Rhaenyra stops them from fighting and will give them an answer tomorrow. Back at the table, Rhaenyra doesn't want a war with dragons because everything will be burnt. Daemon is pissed because they started the war, and Rhaenyra clears the room to tell him about the Song of Ice and Fire. He has no clue about the song and lashes out because Viserys is a weak man and dragon makes kings. When Lord Corlys wakes up, they have a touching conversation and he gives up his ambitions to be neutral in the war. Rhaenys convinces him to help Rhaenyra for their grandchildren, and she was the only one with restraint from starting an all-out war. Later, Lord Corlys would give his support to Rhaenyra in her war efforts, and they also have full control of the Stepstones, so they can cut off supplies to King's Landing from the sea. All they need now is to get the houses to help surround King's Landing and make them surrender. So Rhaenyra sends her 2 sons as messengers to get the house's support. She makes them swear they will only be messengers, and once they agree, they set off on their dragons. On the other side, Daemon goes to an untamed dragon to tame it. Lucerys arrives at Storm's End and sees Aemon's dragon. He is escorted in to see Lord Boros to remind him about his father's oath to Rhaenyra. Lord Boros is displeased because Aemon came with a marriage pact while Lucerys came with nothing to offer. He sends Lucerys home, but Aemon wants to start a fight. Lord Boros had to stop it and escorts Lucerys to his dragon. Lucerys goes on his dragon and flies off, but Aemon chases after them. Vhagar almost took them out, so they had to fly to an area where Vhagar won't fit. When they were looking for Lucerys, Arax surprised Vhagar with a fire breath, and that pissed off Vhagar. Vhagar chases after them and eats them whole, ending Lucerys and Arax. Daemon goes back to report the death of Lucerys to Rhaenyra. She is pissed off and now she's ready to go to war with them. Well, that's it for House of the Dragon Season 1. If you like this recap, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.